So this is Baruch Fleischman. It's time for the Midnight Zohar here on Parshas Pinchas, which we are slowly working our way through some of the tremendous ideas here. So earlier, let's just read what we have to say, and then we'll discuss it. So the Zohar says like this, reading the words of the Zohar, not only this, b'nei Yisrael b'golusa, when we're in exile, which we are in exile. Allahu Itmar, on the Jewish people in Idmar, it says, Mi ma'akev, who is holding you back? Or shebe'isa, in other words, it's like yeast inside of dough. What does this mean? This rising up of the yeast inside of the dough. Since the rabbis of the Mishnah explain, the Erev Rav Inan Rashim al Yisrael, at the time that the Erev Rav becomes the head of the Jewish people. So the Matak explains that in the Galus, the Erev Rav rises to the top. So he says, because they're going to have the greatest connection to the exilers, or the people amidst whom we mix. So he says, so he says that what happens is that Kudsha Baruch Hu is suppressed. And when he says Kochavayim Mazalah, you realize that what he's talking about is what Rebbe Yaakov Cronenberg is talking about, is that the physical world is tied to the planets. Because this is the way that the cycles of the world, we're living in the world of wheels, the world of Ufanim. So all of this is all tied together, all the different movements, all of the different circles and cycles that you see in this world. Imagine the world without a wheel. So he says, so he says that what happens is that we get tied into that, and it suppresses the spirit that is within us, the neshama that's within it. So then time starts to rule us. Again, for this was a vachim v'amra, they cry out and they say, Havaya Elokeinu. So he said these two words, Adonim Zulasechu, we have been judged, or they are rule over us. Adonim Zulasechu, other rulers besides you, meaning time. Now, let's read now. This is the Zohar that we're actually going to look at today. And before we get to that Zohar, I want to read this little statement right here that the Matak points out. Let's see if we can see a little bit better. The Matak points out this idea. Hagam shecha erev rav sheyatze b'Mitzrayim kalo v'nishbedil b'shitim. So the Rav had said previously that at Shittim, where this sin was occurring, or this pirza was occurring in the bris of the Jewish people between Zimri and this woman Cosby, he says between that, he says that's where we said, the Zohar said that all the Erev Rav was wiped out. But the neshamas of the physical neshamas, the spiritual aspect of these people, which is off the charts, bad, it comes back into the world again because of many different sins. And specifically, at the time of intercourse, when a husband and wife live together, he says during this period of time, this is particular without the right kavanos of husband and wife in Kedusha. So then he's telling us that allows these neshamas to come back in, v'heim azipanim, and these are the arrogant people of our generations, shebedur. Now let's read the next Zohar. The Zohar says, Davar Achi, here's something else, Pinchas. Now we'll talk about Pinchas, etc. Kum Butzine Kadisha. So this is the Rayah Mehemna speaking. This is Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the ultimate source of our spirituality, deeply embedded within all of us. And please stand and open up, or begin to speak your words in the presence of in the divine presence. Now, let me bring this back down. I didn't read it, so it could be seen. Let me read it again. Davar Acher Pinchas, talking about Pinchas. So the Mehemna, Moshe Rabbeinu, he comes and says, Kum, get up, Butzi Nekadisha, meaning Rebbe Shimon. And begin to speak your words in the presence of the Shrinta. Come, Butzi Nekadisha, so the Butzi Nekadisha, that's Rebbe Shimon, got up and he said, so in the first time, another time, a previous time that we met, we said this. We said, Tol Chazi, come and see. It's down again. Tol Chazi, come and see. Pinchas Kaim Kamei Dina Tekiver de Yitzchak. He was able to stand in the presence of the overwhelmingly powerful dinim of Yitzchak. Now, earlier we had said that he actually made a yichud, or in some way that he connected himself to the dinim of Yitzchak. V'gam Kamei Pirza, and he stood in the presence or before the break in the bris, because one of the greatest things that you can have is the guarding of the bris. This is really the importance of Torah. So since Pinchas should stand up, he should pray, and he should find a way to nullify this plague. Begin the Agana Galaichem de Yisrael. And why did he do this? To protect the Jewish people from these sins. And begin doing for this reason. So therefore the two are considered to be the same. I'm not sure what it means yet. Pinchas, Kaminyan Yitzchak, so we said before the gematria of Pinchas is 208, and that of Yitzchak is also 208. And this is how you have to join together these words. Now let's see if we could pick up the Matak B'Davash and get an idea here of where I want to say a little bit more. I want to say this, that the Zohar makes clear that the real purpose of the Torah, or one of the great purposes of the Torah, is Shmiras Abris, is sexual purity. So understanding that the Jews, as a general rule, prosper in sexual purity. So Pirish Acher Ayim Masha Kasav. It says Pinchas ben Elazar ben Amram Nakoin. That's how it's stated. He says Amar Rayah Mehemna. The Rayah said to Rebbe Shimon. He says to Rebbe Shimon, Kum Ma'or HaKadosh, you great holy light, get up. B'tiftach b'divrich b'torah lifnei hashchina. So we see that when they spoke, they stood. So he said, Bizman, so b'divrei Torah lifnei hashchina. So now in testimony before the Shechina, bring us some Torah. Come Ma'or HaKadosh, so the great light, the holy light, got up. I guess the word Ma'or means lamp, so let's come Ma'or HaGodah, the holy lamp, Shehu Rebbe Shimon, and he says, Bechibur Rishon, so there was a previous gathering, Shu Zohar, so he says, what's the Hebrew Rishon? Excuse me, I said it wrong. He says, in the previous, I guess he says it's a Hebrew, he means publication of the Zohar. He says, Itmar Hochi, it says like this. It says, I guess he's quoting somewhere else in the Zohar. It says, Lamando Kach, Ki Tol Chazi Pinchas Koim Kamei Dinit Tekifa Pinchas Amad Lifnei V'Din HaChazak Shal Yitzchak. He stood in the presence of the tremendous din that is represented by Yitzchak. The Hainach Adin HaChazak Shal Gevura the Zeranpin. This is the powerful din of the Gevura of Zeranpin, Shemispashet Al Yisrael B'Magefa, which was spreading onto the Jewish people during the plague. V'Amad V'Gadach V'Chasapirtza. So he stood, and he re-fenced in the break in the wall of Shmiras Abris, Shenifritza, which was broken over by Yisrael Ayedecha Megefa through the plague, V'hamtik as a dinim, and he sweetened the dinim. Now he translated this differently than the way I've been saying it. He says he was able to fence in the break in the walls of the Jewish people that kept the Megefa from breaking out all over everybody. So he did all of this. Begin the Agana Galaichem Kadei Lahagen Al Yisrael, to actually shield the Jews. So therefore his name came to be the same gematria as Yitzchak by adding a yud to his name, keep Pinchas with a yud in it, Kaminyan Yitzchak. So here we have this mysterious yud that comes into it, but the yud now we're seeing is represent bris. Pinchas im oz yud ola Kaminyan Yitzchak, that's what he said. V'kan sar the chadesh divrei Torah. So here we have to bring out some new types of Torah, and that's going to be for our next year. This is Baruch Fleischman, Tikkun Elevator Kollel.